Good evening, everybody. Welcome along to the Suffolk Non-League Show. I am James. He is Adam, and we
Hello,
are live.
everyone.
It's Monday night. We are live across Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. It is no Monday blues here. We are live for the next, I was thinking maybe an hour, Adam, and then announcements today have just gone berserk. So God knows how long we're going to. God knows how long we're going to be here tonight. It could be an hour. It could be an hour and a half. We could be here for the full stretch we were the other day. But anyway, how are you doing, mate? You well?
Yeah, very good, thank you. Another Monday, and now we know today it's officially another Monday closer to football.
Yes, we do. We'll be getting into that very shortly. But I'm pretty sure everyone is absolutely buzzing with the latest news that we've had from the government. But we'll be bringing up your messages in a few moments. If you want to get involved in the show, get your comments in, as I said, either on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter. Let's do the rounds on this part. If you are watching from a Twitter perspective, give the video a retweet and get this shared around as much as possible. If you're on Facebook, share the video to your timeline. And if you're on YouTube, make sure you hit the subscribe button and give the video a big fat thumbs up and leave your comments as well, because the more interaction these videos get, the more they get circulated around. We've got big announcements to go through tonight, including the news from Stowmarket. We've got so much to go through now in tonight's show. We've got 3 interviews lined up for you as well. So it's going to be jam-packed tonight. I really, really cannot wait. But before we get too much into the video, just a very quick word from our sponsors. A massive thank you to all of our sponsors for the Suffolk Non-League Show: GBS, Starling & Lock, Matchday Marketing, and Your Shirts. GBS are a family-run construction company in Ipswich operating nationwide with over 30 years experience, offering fire protection, diamond drilling, commercial building, health and safety, and asbestos removal. Starling & Lock, self-employed electrician in the Stowmarket and Suffolk area since 1989, offering domestic work and certificates for people buying and selling houses. An NIC/EIC member. Matchday Marketing, sports marketing and branding company, helping enhance the image and profile of grassroots and non-league clubs at a very low cost, utilising over 20 plus years in the game. Your Shirts, eye-catching, professional-looking garments for your business, team, club or organisation, with a range of printing methods to cover all individual needs. Links for all of these companies will be in the description below. Go and check them out and tell them that DeeJam has sent you. Do you know the one thing from that video, Adam, that always irks me since I made it? You can see the one person who's disliked the video right at the end.
Make a new one. I was going to say, like, something that's really important on these videos. If you are watching by YouTube, it doesn't really matter if you're in the comments. Just hit a like now on the video, because what it actually means is people that watch football content locally get this video pushed to them in their suggested videos, so more people in the local area find out about Suffolk football. So just by you pressing the like button, you're actually quite likely to spread the word about Suffolk football. It only seems like a very, very small thing, but we're here to spread the word more than anything else. So regardless of if you think we're crap or if we're good, just press like if you want Suffolk football to be spread a bit further around.
Definitely. Let's bring up our partner clubs. Adam, just a quick shout out on this one. What do people have to do if they want to become a partner club?
Get in touch with me. My Twitter handle's at the bottom. This is due to have an update. I'm going to just give it a quick refresh of some new clubs that have joined over the last couple of weeks. So next week that will all get done. So this is the week to get in on the partner clubs. Next week we're expecting a bumper show as we welcome Matt Blake on. So it would be a good one to get your club in front of everyone before the restart. Do what you can. Get in touch with me. I'll get your name on here, and we'll we'll share our football community amongst the show. These clubs are going great guns to help us grow, and we are ever thankful for what they do.
Definitely. And as well as the sponsors, we do have to give a massive shout out to all of our Patreon members. We have a new Patreon member in the name of Joel Windsor, who has kindly put in a monthly amount towards the channel. Thank you very much, Joel, for your donation, mate. It really, really does make the world of difference here. It helps to go towards the running costs of the channel and just make sure that everything is ticking over nicely. The link for that, as you can see, patreon.com/DeeJam. You can cancel that at any time as well. So it's not something you have to commit to for 6 months, a year. It can be however money you decide to do. If you'd rather do one-off donations like all of these guys have, and we've had 2 new people this week, Craig Chidlow and Russell Ward have got on board. So massive thank you to those guys for continuing to put in your one-off donations. Really, really does mean the world. Let's get the guys who are in the chat up on the screen. Evening, Ryan. Hope you're doing well, mate. Shem, evening all. Luke Fitch, good evening, mate. Dean Cooper, evening, everybody. Hope you're well. Connor Ellis is in the building, as is Stuart Spreadbridge. Addy Ellis is here as well. Michael Crofer, good evening, fellas. I can imagine, Michael, you're going to have a lot to say, as is Connor, on the latest news. We'll get into that in a moment. Mike Oakley, evening. Hope you're doing well, my friend. Bucks is in the building. Evening, lads. Football is coming back. It sure is, mate. It sure is. I'm so happy. Matchday Marketing, obviously one of our sponsors. Evening, gents. Hope you're doing well, my man. Tony's in the building. Fergus is in here, house as well. Evening, guys. Hope you're well. We are doing very well. Thank you very much. Luke, crazy news from Stowmarket, the end of an era. Yes, we will be getting into that in a little while. Evening, it's a lockdown. Get me out of here on there as well. Hi, guys, from Ian. He's in the building. Benall, ITFC. Good evening, gents. Hope you're doing well. Oh, Ben Hall, rather. I saw Benall. I was thinking SIL. I'm way ahead of it.
You're addicted to them SIL names. Maybe he needs to play for Benall.
Yeah, I'm way ahead of the show.
Ben Hall for Benall.
Luke Fitch, if anyone is interested about the birth of Suffolk football history, send me a message. Ben Moore's in the building. Evening, mate. You're a week early. Matt. But
hello, mate.
we appreciate you being here. Really, really do. Evening, Jen, Psychics for Sports. Sam, ITFC. Hi, Adam. I'm guessing you know who. Yeah, guessing you know who this is. Victor Holloway, good evening. James, good evening, Victor. Hope you're all right. Maverick UK, good evening, gentlemen. And a couple of laughing emojis from Benall there. Thanks for getting involved, my friend. Yeah, we've got an absolutely bumper show, and we have to start off tonight with the announcement that football is back. Adam, it's in.
I know. I was buzzing. I've literally had my phone unlocked all day, letting Twitter update itself, waiting for the news. For so many of our clubs. Yeah, literally for so many of our clubs, I saw these instant tweets go out. So many people saying, finally, we're getting back. And it feels like the pressure valve has been let off.
Yeah,
it's been building up. I feel like people are starting to get a bit fed up and starting to get, there was a bit of negative thought from people like, will we really get back to it? Is it something we can really viably do? Well, not only did we get the news that we can go back to playing, the news that fans can get back into grounds in bigger numbers.
Yeah,
that's huge. Yeah, absolutely 100%. Massive. And it's so good for our clubs.
Let's bring the FA statement up on the screen as we go through it in a bit of detail. So this is what they've said. We welcome the UK government's announcement today, and we are very pleased that organised sports, which includes step 3 to 6 of the National League system, tiers 3 to 6 of the women's football pyramid, and competitive grassroots football, can look forward to resuming from the 2nd of December. We're also delighted to see the beginning of the safe return of fans in stadiums for elite sport events, and confirmation that spectators at non-elite sports will be able to attend events in line with COVID secure guidance for each tier. So this is obviously going to be something moving forward that we will find out on Thursday what parts of the country are in certain tiers. And that is then dependent on the number of fans that are allowed into grounds. Now, obviously, from our level, I think, and where we are in the country, I think we're going to be all right in terms of the COVID level, and also the number of fans. Obviously, at our level of the game, it shouldn't have that much of an effect on it, but we will find out more on Thursday. We will continue our ongoing dialogue with the government to clarify details and next steps and provide further updates in due course. But Adam, I mean, it's just absolutely a major announcement, isn't it? Absolutely major announcement.
We can get our normal lives back. It's huge. It's absolutely massive. Like
Yeah,
everyone's like in the footballing community, like I think mentally suffered a bit from having everything taken away from them.
yeah,
And the fact that we can now all get back and even at elite level, we don't touch on elite level very often, but I've got a lot of friends who are Ipswich season ticket holders and stuff, and the ability for
never
them to
mind.
now go and see their team and get through the gate and maybe mix with their community as well of people. You know, a lot of them are season ticket holders for years and years and years, and they know everyone that's around them. I
Yeah,
think it's so important for people now to be able to have that shard of normality back. Like it's
yeah,
been tough. It's
yeah,
been tough, and it's really good for elite sport as well to be able to take away this feeling of abandonment that
yeah,
we've had. Sort of, I don't know about you, but from very early on, from this second lockdown, I was hearing talk of points per game, season termination. Let's not even bother. Some people said. Well,
yeah,
I also watched the House of Commons debate about getting fans back into stadiums. And
yeah,
I feel like not only is the plea to get grassroots football back been championed all the way, but that debate obviously landed very well.
yeah,
And throughout our county, we're going to see some incredible scenes. I think of clubs like Kings Lynn playing at a level they've never played at before.
yeah,
And finally, their fans can go in and they can enjoy it. I think
yeah.
of clubs
Very
much
true.
lower down the pyramid, and all of a sudden, you're not limited to just 150 people or whatever going in. Probably you're gonna have the ability to not worry about online ticketing systems and things that were logistically a little bit more difficult to pull off, and it removes
Yeah,
some of that match day worry while still being able to focus on the core COVID secure things. I think it's been really well done. Everyone seems to have received it so well.
yeah.
uh, I think people are just going to be absolutely buzzing now just to if you're playing, if you're managing, if you're watching, whatever part you play in football,
You're
everyone's
you're you're going to be
everyone's
there, aren't you?
there. That's it.
The
Like,
second of December, everyone is good. Do you know what I mean? Like once those restrictions have gone past that date, as soon as we're back on it on the 5th, everyone's going to be at a game of some description. Do you know what I mean? Just it's been. I think I don't know if it was yourself that said this last week. I can't remember who it was that said it, but this one's probably actually been tougher
yeah,
than the
100%.
first one round.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
found it much harder.
yeah, to just, I mean, maybe it's because of what we've been doing here, in terms of the show and everything like that. But then just to have it completely turned off, and that's it, like
Yeah,
nothing. Do you know what I mean? Because before we were all in lockdown. Do you know what I mean? There was that we all knew what the ramifications were, but you couldn't even go to work for a lot of people. Do you know
yeah.
what I mean? Whereas this one has been sort of like a bit of a half-hearted sort of effort in
I
terms of
think it's
shutting
been
things down. So this one has felt a bit like, well, every social aspect has been completely stopped. And I think that's why probably I have found it probably a bit tougher than than the first one, to be honest, as well.
this sounds quite harsh, and business owners that are in the chat are going to probably not like this, but I felt like when it comes to workplace things, we're just expected to get on with things and try and push for a return to normal as much as possible. I'm quite lucky that my job has been adapted and put to home, but I know other people within the industry that are literally just going to work and going about every day, and it's a struggle. It's tough for them. But then
Yeah,
as soon as you get home and it's family night life, it's rubbish. You
yeah,
can't see anyone. You can't meet up with people. If you knock on somebody's door just to hand over a birthday card or a present or a piece of cake, whatever it might be, you have to lob it at them or chuck it on the doorway and sprint away. You
just
know,
in case the neighbours on the blower. Or hello, they've got people coming round because some
literally,
people are like that.
yeah, just in case one of you coughs and then all of a sudden you all think that you've got COVID and you've got to go and have a test. And like it makes you naive about things that aren't even things anymore.
Yeah,
And you
yeah,
need that normality and that return to communities to realize that everything's a bit more normal. And I don't think any of these decisions have been backed at all by the fact that there's a vaccine on the way. I think it's just more about the fact that everyone needs that normality.
yeah, yeah. I don't know. I think it probably has helped things ever so slightly in that regard, but I don't know. That's either way. either way, it doesn't really matter from that part. Let's get your thoughts up on the screen here. Luke Fitch says, I won't believe it until I see an actual ball kicked.
That is a fair comment, Luke. But I'm still going to get excited.
Yeah, 100%.
I'll be honest.
Dan Barnard, it is still the same rule, 6 in and no showers. Quite frankly, Dan, I don't care at this point. All of the arguments that we had a couple of weeks ago about
they're irrelevant,
whether or not certain things are right or wrong, I'm not going to have those debates anymore on this. I just want football back. I don't care what capacity it comes in, what restrictions I have to do. If I have to sign myself into 5 different parts of the ground in order to get into somewhere, quite frankly, I don't care.
I'll scan my phone every meter if it means I can get in.
Yeah, definitely. Cod Army says Derby down the first game back, Codner versus Barham, but Dan's quickly replied to that saying Barham will call it off. They're still on their holiday in the Maltese. Absolutely brilliant. Norwich have released a plea to try and find enough supporters to fulfill their quota. Look, don't start talking about Norwich and Ipswich in terms of fans and filling their ground, because it's an argument you cannot win. I'm sorry, but you can't win. We're not here.
We're going to be the only people that worry.
Yeah, we're here for non-league. Yeah, Sean, now to decide the first game to go and watch. That is going to be, especially for us, Adam, in terms of the channel and what we do, that's going to be a very, very big question as to what game we go and cover. Because I've already looked, and there are some absolutely quality games.
I know where I'd like to go in terms of a level, in terms of what I also feel safe with as well. So that's not something I want to just say on air, but I know the sort of thing I want to start off with.
Right.
I also think
we'll
that
talk after, but
yes. And I also think that everyone will be very welcomed, and the environment will be safer than it ever could be because of what's just happened.
Yeah.
So I'll make my pick based on what I want, but just go out there and find something to watch. That's all I'll urge people.
Yeah, definitely. Maverick UK says lucky dip on who's going to be allowed in. Again, I suppose we'll find out more on Thursday in regards to where we're allowed, who's allowed, what tier we fall into, because for all we know, things might be going on in the background, and we might not be the lowest tier. We might be middle. We don't know.
Yeah.
We'll find out.
Sit tight on it, and I think something I put earlier is those tiers are temporary.
Yeah.
Hopefully, football is back permanently, but your tier is temporary. If you get put in a higher tier, let's not get upset about it. Let's just ride it out and do everything we're asked to get out of it as soon as possible. I don't want this to be like a health and safety show, but in terms of reaching an objective of getting back to football, we all know what's expected of us if we're going to get somewhere.
Yeah, definitely. Lake and Eva said, buzzing of football is back, will be a fantastic atmosphere throughout the country. 100% agree with that. Ian, can't see your Daddy Saurus shirt. James, here you go. There we are.
Love that.
For those who don't know, it is my son's first birthday tomorrow, and this show is dedicated to him. So that's my boy Kaysen, who has won. I won't say too much because I will cry, because I'm a blubbering mess these days since he's been born. I cry at Ambulance. Do you know the TV program Ambulance? I cry at that now. I'm just emotional since he's been born.
It's when you cry at Mr. Tumble, we've got problems, mate.
Now you sign. Oh, I know it all now. Ben's in the building. Evening, gents. Hope you're doing all right. Dean Cooper's just giving a big shout. Am I meant to know who Fabio Wardley is?
Boxer from Ipswich. Massive KO for him.
Okay, right. There we go. I've just jumped a massive fat on here. Still got to remain sensible and be aware that COVID is still with us, and it would not take much for another lockdown to be put back in place. Agree with that. But I'm more in the thought of, I'm just glad the football's here and I've got something positive to look forward to outside of the four walls of this house. I agree. We don't want to go crazy now for football to cease again in January. It hasn't felt like a lockdown at all this time around. I probably have to agree with that. If anything, the road has probably been busier on my way to work since lockdown 2 has happened. You can lob cake at me anytime, Adam. I'm not sure what that relates to.
It's the reference to what I made earlier about going to someone's house and chucking cake over a doorstep.
Right, okay, right, fair enough. Shane, thanks a lot for coming on the show again, mate. In the comment section, really appreciate you coming on board. Such positive news for all involved in local football, mentally uplifting and very welcomed, 100%. You should come to Brickwall Meadow. We will announce where we go very, very shortly. I don't no doubt about that.
There's game requests all through the comments.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Kirkley aren't playing any games until the new year. Statement released tonight. Now, we don't know whether or not that's just their home games.
We've got to be a bit careful with this statement.
Yeah, or whether or not they're going to be, or whether or not they want to play away games. But their statement is pretty crystal clear that their facility is not open until the new year. So, as I said, whether or not the away games is an option, we don't know. Fingers crossed, because I don't want one of those teams to be playing massive catch up towards the end of the season because they've had the whole of December where everyone else has been playing Saturday, Tuesday.
I think if they didn't play December and they didn't play January, they're playing 3 games a week. Yeah, I'm prepared to put a bet on that. That's what would have to happen. I don't think they'll want to do that. So I think if we use a common sense approach, they'll probably be looking to play away games only.
Yeah, and here it is, comment after comment about which game we should go to. We will, we'll announce it very shortly, I'm sure. Suffolk has the 3rd lowest rate of COVID after the Isle of Wight and Cornwall. Fingers crossed it's a tier 1. We certainly hope so. Ian's just having a show. Luke, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Luke. I really, really appreciate that, my man. Connor Ellis, I travel across East Anglia for work, and if anything, the roads have been busy. It's exactly what I've said. Lockdown 2, the roads have been far, far busier going to work. They have. So I don't really think many people have been paying attention to this one. As much as people say they have, I don't really think a lot of people have. They say fans could be back next month. Not sure if I believe them. Again, I think it's going to be one of those until we see where we stand on Thursday. We'll just wait and see. Alex, evening lads, buzzing to get out of lockdown 2.0. Let's just wait for the 3rd one.
Yeah. I think they've been quite clear that Christmas could end up with us in another short lockdown. So, let's see what happens. I said about how important I think Christmas is for people when we were talking about Boxing Day fixtures last week, and got quite a lot of stick for it. I do honestly think that if people get the option to see their family at Christmas, I think that's more important. So, it could be a trade-off. I know it's quite a split camp, but we'll have to see what that means to sport again, and just enjoy as much of December as you can. Get to as many games. I know there'll be people in the chat. I expect Dan Snell's probably in there, and if you ask him to see the grounds he did, he pretty much did a whole season's worth of football in the 10 weeks or so that we had to go. So see what you can do in a month. December's a tough month, but get out there. And definitely. This is interesting.
Yeah. We will await their statement. We will await their statement is all I can say on that one, because I don't know.
It could obviously go a few different ways, couldn't it? If you look at the official line on it, if you say that they're refusing to fulfill fixtures, that would have an extremely serious implication. But I should imagine they'll be looking at ways so it doesn't fall under that. But yeah.
We will wait and see. What about fans who travel? I live in London, travel to Ipswich. Can I go from tier to tier?
Who knows?
God knows, Nick. Absolutely. I could not answer that. Could not answer it. However,
I think that'll become clear this week. Yeah. Hopefully.
I'll tell you what, Adam, what we should do is we should set up a separate channel, and we should do like a government review every single week as well.
Honestly, we would hit numbers.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Me and you just sitting there criticizing everything they do. We could smash that. We could absolutely smash it.
Be not so pretty Patel.
Let's not mention her because we'll get demonetized. So anyway, moving swiftly on from that announcement, we then had the second big announcement of the day. And my phone has just been going off ever since the news announced, Adam, with the fact that Rick Andrews has resigned. Muzzy is in. Big announcement coming from Stowmarket. I'll ask for your opinion in a few moments, obviously, with someone who has been connected to the club the whole of last season and beforehand. Obviously, you're still a fan, such as, just like myself. But let's go through the statements as we were brought them this evening. So the first statement that we had is coming from the official website, saying that Rick Andrews has resigned as first team manager. The 55-year-old, who has managed the Old Gold and Blacks in 336 games since arriving at Greensmeadow in March 2013, made the decision on Friday. They go on to list a number of the achievements that he's had, which, he has been incredibly successful as manager of the club. They would like to say a massive thank you to Rick for his tremendous service as manager, and we wish him and his family all the best for the future. An announcement on our new management structure for the first team will follow in due course. Rick's statement is where he said, "It was a hard decision as my head is telling me it's the right thing to do, while my heart is telling me I'm being silly for leaving now. I've given 7.5 years of my life to the club. I'm proud of what we've been able to achieve as a club during that time. And in my opinion, I'm leaving the club in a better place to when I arrived." I think there's absolutely no doubt about that whatsoever. Walking around the club on match days and seeing the improvements we've made and all the support we get from the fans makes me proud more than anything else. I don't intend to be a stranger. I hope to get to some games when time allows, but all good things come to an end. I want to thank the club, the chairman, every single player that has played for me, all of our sponsors who have backed us, and all of the supporters for their support. Stowe then released a statement, literally probably about half an hour maybe before we go live tonight, maybe 45 minutes. Yeah. Very, very quickly after that, to say that Paul Musgrave has been appointed as our new first team manager. Obviously, as everyone knows, Muzzy has been assistant to Rick over the last 7 years of that. He replaced, obviously, Shane Cauldron as Andrew's number 2 during the summer of 2017. The club are pleased to confirm as well that the rest of the existing management team, including the likes of Danny Potter and Doug French, will be continuing in their roles, and we wish them and Paul every success at Greensmeadow. Paul has said, "Got a mixture of emotions. Myself and Rick have become like family in the last 3.5 years. We speak to each other at least 2 or 3 times a day." Sounds like me and you, Adam. Rick has done lots for me and helped me develop, and he has done a lot for other people. I'm proud to be manager of Stowe, and hopefully we can go on and achieve what we would have wanted and get the club promoted. We're just hoping we can get going on the 5th for the Vars game and carry on from where we started. So big statements from the club. Let us know in the comment section right now your thoughts on this news. Adam, over to you, my friend. How did it come as a surprise? How are you feeling about it? What's your kind of first emotions and thoughts about it? And then also, what do you make of the news that Paul Musgrave has taken over as manager? Right or wrong decision? Go for it.
Yeah, I was having a bit of banter with Rick about 6 weeks ago about him. Like, we were just talking about some news, and I was sort of saying, "Oh, you're not giving up, are you?" Just for a laugh. And little did I know that 6 weeks later, it would actually end up coming to pass. As soon as I heard, I'll be honest, I did feel quite emotional about it. I'd pretty much given up on football 3 or 4 years ago. Absolutely sick and tired of it. I hadn't really watched much for a couple of years, and I just went along one day when I wasn't really feeling myself, like mentally, and got taken to a game, and all of a sudden I sort of felt that community vibe that he was building, and I just sort of stuck with it really from there. I don't know, there's something that he'd put together there that was pretty magical, and kept watching it for a while. And then obviously last season we spoke, and he'd seen me do a few match day experiences with yourself, and he invited me on board to do the video stuff. Like, I can't thank the man enough for what he's helped me do personally in terms of developing skills, but also developing actually confidence and stuff like that. I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for the stuff that he put me in the position to do. And the freedom that he gave me to create something that was my own at Stowmarket. And I do look at, I look back at it with a lot of fondness, despite like not carrying on. I really enjoyed what I did there. like I think from some people it seemed like a bit of an odd thing for me to not continue in some respect this season. And I, for one, would really miss him. He's one of the kindest, most generous people you could ever meet. He's a proper good guy.
Yeah.
And I think so many people hold him in really high regard. It will have come as a big shock.
Yeah. Yeah.
People, even people within the team that no doubt will know that it was coming up. It would still have shocked them that it happened. And
yeah.
I think they've done the best thing they could possibly do with putting Muzzy in charge. Again, Muzzy's someone I've got a lot of time for, and
yeah, 100%.
I speak to often. I think he's a great bloke, and I've got no bad words to say about how it's been handled, or in fact the direction they're going in. I think they, Muzzy knows it all inside out, obviously, from the time that he's been there. And it'll keep, everything will stay constant. Rick may have moved on, but it'll help the club transition. And there will be chat around why it's happened and everything else, but there's probably many reasons why he may have chosen.
I'm sure if Rick and the club want to go into the reasons why he's decided to do it, they will release it in their own time, because we don't know what goes on off the pitch. And I mean, who knows? Who honestly knows the main reason why? I said to you before we kind of went live, I think for me, this really came as a bit of a shock, because if I saw this coming, it would have been before a ball was kicked this season.
Yeah.
If he was going to, honestly, if I thought if he was going to go, it would have been beforehand.
Yeah.
But to come sort of during the season, it has come as a bit of a shock. But I think I'm probably in a bit of an agreement with you. I think the decision to appoint Paul, but not only appoint him, but do it very, very quickly as well.
Yeah.
So that because Stowmarket are a big club in this area. Let's not get away from it. They are a massive club now, and one of the most talked about clubs in our area. And to have that kind of speculation just going on and on and on and on, for them to just kind of nip it in the bud. This is what we're doing. We know the direction we want to go in. This is the plan. I think it's a great move from them.
I mean, Stowmarket have spent quite a lot of years in the doldrums of non-league football. Like, Rick has changed that.
Yeah.
With the team around him, Rick has changed that. Rick has made them a force. Rick has made them someone that teams are worried about, genuinely.
Yeah.
He's set records aplenty when he's been there. Teams with the team with the most games unbeaten. He's set their FA Vars record, equaled their FA Cup record. He's had gates at Stowmarket that they hadn't seen for years.
Yeah, gosh, yeah. I remember going to one of the first games when he was there. That was the first non-league game I went to. Maybe 70.
Yeah.
Maybe 80 at a push were there.
Ian's in the chat. I mean, I know he'll always tell you a story where it's literally one man and his dog that were there watching at his very first game. And he's built this thing where if you turn up, and he was never disappointed, but as a fan, you're like, oh, if there's not 300 here, you'd feel, oh, where is everyone?
Yeah.
And a Step 5 team in this area has got no right to expect 300 every week. Yet week in, week out, they are in the top 10 of the most attendances nationally at Step 5. Yeah. And this is a team that was very little when he turned up.
Yeah.
It's incredible. And they've got so much to be thankful for with him.
Yeah.
But I'm sure the transition will be smooth and the right man's in charge.
I think for me as well, I want to kind of echo what you just said there as well. When I first started coming along to watch non-league football, he was one of the first people to come up to me and say hello, talk to me in the clubhouse. Why are you here? Let's, introduce yourself. Let me get you a drink.
Yeah.
As soon as I brought my old man to a couple of games as well, straight away, let me buy your dad a drink. I'd love to have a bit of a chat with him. He's always there after the game to talk to. He's always open and honest about how things are going. There's no BS from him at all. It is what it is. And yeah, he welcomed anyone who I brought along to a game with open arms, and thanked everyone for coming along after every time, and for the time that he's given me after the games for interviews and for chats and, you know, for just general conversations and stuff. I can't thank him enough, because I think he's a really, really, he's a really, really top bloke. From what I've experienced, that's just my personal thoughts on it. Let's get some of your comments up on the screen. Alex, I want to get your thoughts in a moment. I'm going to bring you on in just a second, my man. So Dean has said Rick is a legend. Shane, Rick has done an unbelievable job at Stowe, gave me an opportunity, and without him, I wouldn't be Witten manager where I am today. He's completely transformed Stowe, deserves all the respect, an unbelievable transformation of the club. Lucas said, I can't believe it, the only manager I've known at the club. Connor Ellis has said, Rick brought Stowmarket from a struggling first division team to the Premiership title contenders. Addy Ellis has said, great appointment for Stowe, but we still have the best Musgrove throughout the wreck. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Ian, gutted, no more words. Michael Crowfer, Rick is a real, genuine top bloke, kind and friendly and approachable guy, always has time for a chat. Best of all, he remembers your name. That means a lot to most people as well. I was the guy standing next to the man with the dog. Group chats are so excited about football coming back. It meant it was raising people's mental health as well. As I said before, I enjoyed every single minute of his time at Stowmarket. He will be sorely missed. Alex, you were obviously at the club, I suppose, when Rick first joined. So what are your how did you kind of react to this when you saw the news break?
When I saw, I was really shocked, especially the kind of the timing of it.
Yeah.
Obviously being, you know, practically only halfway through a season, I was quite shocked. But yeah, kind of echoing what everyone's turned around and saying, Rick is a genuine bloke. The amount of times that I've probably messaged him and probably hassled him quite a bit when I first went into management, asking his advice and stuff like that.
Really?
Yeah, just, you know, when he came into the club, it was struggling. It was very, the players were very localised. There were a lot of players that were from Stowmarket and not really outside of Stowmarket.
Yeah.
Both first and reserves. And then he started bringing players in from outside of Stowe, a few people from Ipswich, Bury around that sort of area. Yeah. And what he's done for Stowmarket is absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing how the club's developed, not just the team, the ground. You know, it's an amazing ground to go to now, where before when I was there, it wasn't a great ground. The pitch wasn't great, very boggy.
It's certainly gone for a big transformation, the pitch, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It really has.
And it's been down to him, because he's got those players in, and then people wanting to go and see those players because they're excited about the football that they're watching. And
that's one thing I'd say about Rick is he's a dreamer. If he wants something to happen, if he's got that dream, he'll find a way of making it happen. And the transitions and the things that he's seen, from like the floodlights changing, like when I first started turning up, we just got normal standard nets, and he's like, well, if we get box nets in, it looks more professional. Players want to come and play with box nets and stuff like that. He can see that dream. The
little ones, the changing rooms, oh my God, the changing rooms are absolutely amazing. I remember when I first went into those changing rooms, it was literally just like seats. They weren't even seats; they were like MDF wooden things with just hooks. Yeah, you know, they weren't a great changing room. And you look at them now, and the dugouts as well. The dugouts were. I barely fit in it. I'd stand outside it most of the time, but it's those little things. The amount of people that he's helped in football as well. Obviously, Shane put what he's put as well, and a lot of players will show a lot of respect to Rick. And deservedly so.
Angelo Harrop and that, you've had players all sort of say, you know, he's helped me come back from injury to start playing, and that there's been this real outpouring of support and everything, and
he deserves
as much
it.
of a shock as it is, he's been incredible. Like, you know.
Just a shame just a shame what happened last season. Really, it'd have been nice to see them have gone up and and hopefully they will carry it on and they will get there eventually. And obviously everything that he's done has helped to get to that point.
Yeah, definitely. Well, whatever the next step is for Rick, we wish him all the best. And as he said, I'm sure he'll be at a Stowe game very, very soon, because I know he'll want to give Paul all of his support as much as he possibly can. Yeah. And we wish Paul all the best here on the channel. And maybe we can get him on at some point to kind of go through, give him a couple of games and see how he's getting on, and then bring him back on, because obviously we had him for the season review, didn't we, to talk about how things are going, and we'll see if we can try and get him on at some point. But moving on from Stowe, we're going into the SIL now, where we have our first guest coming on to talk about a latest appointment. Now, you will have seen the news a few weeks ago now. Maybe was it last week? Yes, last Monday, wasn't it? Where Achilles announced they have a new manager in charge of their club, and I'm delighted to be able to say that we are joined by Rag and Bone Man himself, Jamie King. Jamie,
you're right,
you doing, man? You well?
Hello,
Evening, Jamie.
Evening, all right.
Not bad. So you sit here as Achilles manager. It's a big role. How are you feeling about it?
Quite relaxed, to be honest with you. I mean,
fair enough.
The thing is, I've been involved with the club for like nearly 20 years. So
yeah,
it's just right. Yeah, it's now going to be me in charge, but
right,
yeah.
So, what kind of roles have you? Just for those who don't know, what kind of roles have you had at the club, and what's your kind of association to them?
Flipping heck, I've literally done it all from water boy up to vice chairman.
Right.
So no, I literally started off, literally mates playing for Achilles, going along, watching.
Yeah.
Started helping out a little bit on the match days when Alan Middle was in charge.
Right.
Then went and helped Alfie Cook run the reserves for about 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
From there, Luke come in. I was assistant to Luke Hilliard for his first season.
Yeah.
And then came back, did the reserves for another half a season.
Right.
And then eventually became vice chairman. And in the interim, when people have left, kind of stepped in as well and helped, people like Andy and that out. So, yeah.
So why the step now to take over as the first team manager? Was there any temptation to continue in the kind of roles that you have done previously? What's been the sort of driving factor to make this decision then?
I suppose the main factor was obviously Dean left. Stepped in for a game, and to be honest, it just hurts to see them bottom of the league. That's not the club that I've been involved with. Yeah. And I was speaking with Sean Bell, who's going to be my assistant. We were speaking, and I literally just, when Dean, kind of quit, I literally rang Sean up and say, "What do you think? Do you fancy it?" And we just kind of went from there, really.
Right.
Yeah, I suppose you take over at quite an interesting time. Everyone having had a bit of a break away from it for a bit, Jamie. And do you think that gives you a bit of an advantage in a way that you're starting with this? It's a little bit of a clean slate in the terms of no one's got a bit of a run behind them, and you can now just attack it in terms of put your stamp on it and just get out there and start making an impression again. How are you viewing it?
Yeah, no, definitely. For us, lockdown probably came at a good time.
Yep.
You know what I mean? We were on a run of defeats. We just played Framlingham in the Senior Cup, got beat in that.
Yes.
Confidence was perhaps a little bit low. So, it's probably came at a good time for us to have a break. We can then work on a few bits and pieces, once we start going again. But, and everyone's getting a clean slate at the club. So,
yeah.
Definitely.
What's your impression been of the lads that you've obviously inherited there? What do you think you're going to need to make sort of bigger changes, either tactically or sort of in terms of how you prep for games, or do you think you've got what you need to start moving forward?
I don't think a lot needs changing, to be honest with you. Dean obviously took over, and it was going to be hard for Dean because bearing in mind most of the team from the Senior Cup winning size that we had and stuff like that, we were an aging team. At some point, it was going to happen. Players were going to retire. Connor Field, Lewis Kincaid went to play higher, which they rightly should have done. So it was going to be tough. But the lads that Dean have got in, good, honest bunch of lads. I think they could do with a couple more experienced heads in there because some of them are quite young and things like that. But it's not nothing that we can't get over. Hence why I brought Sean in. Really, Sean's played at a really good level. Yeah, and he knows his football. So
yeah, I mean that was good. That was going to be my question. Why Sean as your number 2?
Sean. So Sean used to play. He's played for various clubs, Malden, Tiptree, stuff like that. He played Ryman League back before it was split, so it was literally the level below the conference. Sean's played for some big teams, very well respected. He knows what he's talking about. So and. Plus, I've known Sean for 30 years and we've always had the same kind of ideas about football.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, definitely. Alex, sorry, you've been poised for a question for quite some time now, mate.
I know we spoke a little bit a couple of weeks ago. Obviously, about how Achilles were going and stuff like that. With obviously their reserves doing quite well, are you looking to bring some of them through now a little bit more? Or are you looking to bring other players in from elsewhere? Or
there is a couple from the reserves.
Yeah,
I'm not going to lie that we'd like to bring in who will help the squad. To be honest, if there is a chance to sign a good, experienced player, then to be fair, any team's going to go for it. Not just us, any team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's regardless, even. When you're at your peak and you're at top, if a good player becomes available, everyone's going to be interested in them. But it's just a case of convincing them that we'd be the right step for them.
Yeah. As I say, when we spoke with Saturday and we told us it is a shame where, Achilles are at the moment. Me personally, I don't think that it's going to be something that is going to be, you're not going to be there that long, to be perfectly fair. So when I spoke to you and the ideas that you've got that you were saying then, obviously I couldn't really say too much because I know it was something that hadn't been 100% decided. With the ideas that you've got there, I honestly don't think that you're going to be sitting in that position for very long, and hopefully it will go the route that you want it to go down. Because it's always horrible to see an established club sitting at that point.
Have you got any short-term goals? Literally straight on to what Alex has said there. Have you got some sort of short-term goals that you feel that we can sort of knock on the head for Achilles pretty quickly and get you moving forward?
To be honest, looking at the fixtures we've got between now and the new year, we're playing a couple of teams that are in or around us. So, they're the games that we need to win. We're playing Henley, Trimley, who are more top of the league. You know, if we can get anything out of them, that's a bonus. You know what I mean? So as long as we can, looking at the league table, and everyone's lost in the league already, and that's very rare. In the years gone past with ourselves, Cranes, Henley, whoever's top normally wouldn't have lost the game at this stage, but everyone seems to be taking points of each other, and
it's a very open league this year.
We said that when we done our review show. Something can change so quickly. A couple of wins and a couple of losses for someone else, and it just changes within an instant in that league at the moment.
Literally, if we win our next game and the teams around us lose, we jump up like 4 or 5 places. It's that close.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
You do.
Yeah.
That's exactly the conversation we were having the other day, weren't we, Adam? When we finished a live show, and we always have a bit of a chat afterwards and stuff, and we were talking about your appointment, and I said, as much as it's going to take a lot of work to get the club kind of going again on a consistent basis, it's not going to take much in the short term to really get this club back up the league. And all of a sudden the pressure kind of just goes a little bit, and then everyone can really start concentrating and then looking forward rather than thinking, Christ, we're in this mess. How the hell are we going to get out of it? Because, as you said, 2 wins and all of a sudden you've jumped up 6 places and then all of a sudden everything was a bit rosier again.
Exactly. Well, and the big thing going, you've still got 3 quarters of the season to go.
Yeah.
So, there's no need to start panicking just yet. You know what I mean? But, if it's in, 2-3 months' time, then maybe.
We'll bring you back on, and see how things are going.
But like you say, short term, let's get off the bottom. Let's, try and progress. Obviously, long-term plans for Achilles. We've got our youth. I'm involved with the youth section as well.
Yeah.
That's grown massively in the last 3 years that we've started that. So, the ideal age, what would be ideal is for those kids at some point to start coming through. We're not going to see the benefits of that for another 4 or 5 years. But again, that's the long-term plan as a football club.
That's all about building the club, isn't it? Though that's just as important as the here and now. It's like progressing those players through and either seeing them go up the pyramid or be able to become first team regulars.
Exactly.
For yourself.
The other thing is they've got to find those players that want to do it as well. It's one thing I've always turned around and said, dealing with a lot of young players myself, they've got to want it as well. Achilles, say, once again, established club, to turn around and say you played for Achilles first team, I think it's quite a privilege. So they've got to want to do that as well. So if any young players out there listening, it is a good club to be at. And they will give you a chance. So put the effort in, you'll get it back.
You were getting a lot of love in the comments, Kiki, without a doubt. I want to ask just one final question before we wrap this up from your part. Without giving too much away and without revealing your tactics and what formations you're playing, what kind of style team are we going to be expecting from Achilles moving forward? What kind of football are we going to be guessing?
The one thing I will always ask of my players is literally 110%. As long as the work rate and everything else is there, you could be the most fluent passing team in the world. But if you can't match it with work rate and desire, then you're going to struggle.
Love that.
Yep.
So where do I sign up?
I'll send a form.
I can't kick a ball. I can try.
You can't be
telling me you can run, James. Get out.
Adam?
You cannot run. Get out.
Have a word, mate. Have a word.
You don't need to run. Don't need to run. As long as you get ball to feet, you'll be all right.
No, absolute pleasure having you on, mate. And we'll catch up at some point during the course of the season. I hope hopefully things can start turning around very shortly. And we'll bring you on very, very soon. All right, mate.
All right, nice one. Cheers, James.
Nice one. Cheers, mate.
See you later.
And from one SIL club to another now, we've got our next guest coming on. And again, there's a recent appointment down in Division 1 this time for AFC Kesgrave, where they made the announcement 2 days ago that Fraser Lord is going to be the new manager rather for the club. And I'm delighted to be able to say that we can bring him into the chat now. Fraser, my man, how you doing? You all right?
Yeah, not too bad. Thanks. How are you?
Good. Yeah, not too bad, mate. Not too bad. Management now. How are you feeling about that? Obviously, we've only known about it for a few days. I don't know how long you've kind of had those discussions and when the decision was made and everything. But how are you feeling now? You've had a bit of time to absorb the news.
Yeah, excited. I mean, especially with the announcement that I made today that the league is going to be kicking off again in a couple of weeks. So it's a fresh start for me from where I have been this year, and I'm looking forward to it.
Definitely. So it's not been the best of times for the club this season. If we look at the current league table, they are, after 7 games, third from bottom, haven't yet to win a game this season. It is going to be a struggle, but like we've said in terms of what we just, the conversation we've just had with Jamie a few moments ago, only a few wins and your season can quickly turn around. So how are you kind of feeling about it? What's your approach going to be?
I mean, the approach and the aim is obviously to stay up this year, and then it's project to build on. I mean, the club has ambitions going forward over the next few seasons.
Right.
So, there's ambitions there. I mean, the important part is to start back. I think within the first 4 games, we've got Wenneston, who are, well, they've played 5 games and they're 2 points below us, but we've got them twice back to back. So
right,
2 games there are massive straight away.
Big, yeah.
You're going to need to pick up points there, and then as the season sort of starts to unravel again after those first few weeks back, we'll start to see, and hopefully we can start picking up points again.
Yeah, definitely. Alex, you look poised with a question, my man.
No, it's just obviously it was quite a big change for himself because obviously he was at Ransom's last season, a very successful season.
Yeah, Deke's assistant last year, first team assistant. Yeah, at Ransom's, and we had it was a good season, good 18 months. I enjoyed it. Was
that one of your decisions from last season or this season that you decided to go into management yourself, or was it something you've been pushing for the last couple of seasons?
It was actually before I was at Ransom's. I was a Capel reserve team manager when they were in the C. We got promoted that year. Really enjoyed it, really liked it. I think for me personally, the reserve side, although I love it, and you've come across the same issues, it's tough work being a reserve team manager. And when Deeks got in contact and sort of said he's looking for a first team assistant, I thought, why not try my hand at first team level, a bit higher up, and see how it goes.
Did you learn a lot from it? Because when I remember when I done the first team management at Division 1 level, me personally, I kind of struggled with it because of the level that it was. But obviously being an assistant to start off with, did you learn quite a lot from obviously Paulie and Deeks being over there?
Oh yeah, definitely. You learned a lot from them. I mean, I learned a lot in the season I was at Capel, but yeah, working with Deeks and Paulie, it was just, we were all doing it together, and you just learn so much from them guys. I mean, you learn different things from Paulie than you do Deeks, but two very different people, but with the same sort of wavelength and ideas. So you do. It's really good. I really enjoyed the 18 months I was at Ransom's. It was good.
Benefiting from a bit of diversity then in terms of your background, football and wise, in terms of who you've learned from. What do you think you're going to take in to the new role? What's your sort of approach going to be?
I think the approach has got to be just to try and give the players a bit of confidence. The squad's committed from the chats I've had over the weekend with Jubson, who's already at the club, and he's going to be joining us in the management team. I think it's just about getting a bit of confidence in the players and seeing what they can do. I mean, this 2 seasons, or the 18 months I was at Ransom's, we came up against Kesgrave 3 times. The first season they gave us good games. Last season, not so much, but I think they had a big change of personnel, player-wise. And I'm just looking forward to being there. It's a good club to be at, I think.
So you've obviously made the appointment of Ian as your assistant manager. What's the thinking behind that?
So Ian's my old man. He's coached in the SIL for a few years, and all through me and my younger brothers playing football, he's coached sort of EJA level, all that level management and stuff. So he's pretty experienced on the management side. I think he's got, well, I'm 25 now, so he's got 20 plus years in coaching. So it's just a good experienced person to have with you. And Jubs is joining us in the management team as well. Someone that's been at the club for a while, knows the setup, knows a lot of the players. I think having those 2 on board is going to be a massive help and a massive advantage.
Any sort of reservations about working with your old man? Because I remember when Adam will probably remember this, when both my brothers Kyle and Sammy, I used to manage both of my brothers at one point during my, not football, but obviously in work career. And the problems you get on a daily basis were just
that's just your brothers.
So
your brothers, that's the only problem there.
Well, some would say that. I'm not going to say that live on air. But so, any sort of reservations about that, Fraser?
No, luckily me and my old man get on quite well, and we're on a similar wavelength when it comes to football. We've had a little bit of a stint together. I mean, when I started as a coach when I was 16, I joined him at St John's as their goalkeeper coach, and that was the first coaching I did sort of grassroots level when I was 16. I joined them as a goalkeeper coach, not that I was a goalkeeper. but it helped me learn and I helped them.
Because you've got quite a big CV behind you. If you go onto even if you just look at your Twitter profile, for example, UEFA B coach already at the age of 25. You've put in a hard graft behind the scenes already, haven't you? Before you stepped into this role.
Well, just some big clubs as well.
When I was 22, and it's what I've done as a living, really, coaching football. I worked for Ipswich Community Trust when I left school as an apprentice.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
That was thanks to my old man. He saw the advert online and made me apply for it, and I haven't looked back since then, really. As a and then here he is now popping up. And it's what I do for a living. So I coach for Ipswich Academy and scout for them, and then during the day I'm a primary school PE teacher. So
wow.
You were doing some stuff from Norwich Youth. Was it Norwich Youth last season?
I was at Norwich a couple of seasons ago in their sort of stuff and in their shadow squads. But then, when the opportunity came to come over to Ipswich Academy, I sort of jumped two-footed, really. And
never mind, mate. No one's perfect. So obviously you mentioned about the short-term aims of the club, and you mentioned about the kind of long-term aims about where they want to try and get to, etc. I think Alex has already kind of asked the question, but immediately you're kind of, I suppose, you're really short-term. What kind of brand of football are we going to be getting from you moving forward? What are going to be the first things you need to try and implement to get this club going again?
I think immediately the first things you've got to look at is making yourselves hard to beat. I think from looking at results and looking at things and talking to the guys that are at the club and the people that know the players, from what they've said, there's a good bunch of players there that in the past have played and can play really good football. It's just now trying to sort of make us a little bit harder to beat, pick up the points. It might not be pretty this season. There might be ugly games where you get a 1-0 or you pick up a draw against one of the top end teams, but you've got to make yourself hard to beat, especially this season. Season develops going into next year in summer when we can get a proper pre-season in and we can get some more sessions in. We know the players better and we know what players we need to recruit and bring in. I think then we can see sort of a better style of football, more sort of my style of football, I would say, or not my style, but the style I like to see and hopefully implement.
I've said before to James when we've been at games, like sometimes just digging in and grinding a result out, no matter how you do it, is just as important as playing fancy football and doing it nicely. It's about how you get that win and getting the points in the end. And I think come the end of the season, like staying up and keeping that going, you're not going to look back in regret. Do you know what I mean? If you've still managed to get the points.
Especially at this, I think, especially at this level, it's even more so because you do have so many players that can go from club to club, or you may have that player 1 week, you might not have him the week afterwards. I think if you can get the mentality of, right, you've got to dig in, it might just be a 1-0 or maybe a draw. They got that mentality already. It's half the battle won at the end of the day. You don't concede, you're not going to lose.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, Fraser, we wish you all the best of luck, mate, for the upcoming season. And thankfully, you're able to kind of get things going straight away. We're not going to have too much of a break before you can get stuck in, which is the main thing.
I don't know if we're going to get a training session in before that.
You just need to get like the salt and pepper pots out with your dad at the dinner table. Get tactical stuff and then crack on, I think, mate.
Yeah, definitely.
What I know from my Sunday days of playing football is training's overrated anyway. Don't worry about it, mate. It's the match days where it really happens. But yeah, good luck for the rest of the season. Hope it goes well, mate. Appreciate you coming on. And, thanks for representing the club. Nice one, mate.
Cheers. Thanks, guys. Take it easy.
Cheers, mate.
No worries. And with that, we're going to move on to our Super Six. Let's get that part of the show done. Adam, big moves this week as well. This is the part of the show where I hand over to you. I haven't looked at any of these graphics. I promise I have not looked at any of these. I've literally just uploaded them. I'll react to you live at the same point as you have. So let's bring up the current race for the copy of this year's FM. And I have to say, if you haven't bought FM, or if you are waiting, or whatever the case may be, this year's game is absolutely fantastic. It is so good. so good. They massively improved this year's game. It's absolutely unbelievable.
I don't have the time.
Adam, graphic. Here we go.
So here's a recap for everyone that didn't know already.
Oh.
We're all terrible at Super 6. Look at that, 60th place, and you're still there on the score chart with 4 points after 3 weeks. Like, we're rotten at this. We really are. Like, I'm not even having banter here. I think if we average 3 points a week, we're actually doing well. So after last week's heroics, we thoroughly made up for it this week. Yeah, I mean, look at myself. I've played this for 3 weeks and I've got 7 points.
Interesting. I'm ahead of you, though, which is good.
Yeah, only on this one, mate. Don't get too excited.
Okay. Well, thanks for ruining the next graphic for me. Cheers, mate.
So Spreads had a poorer week up at the top. Now, that makes the final week of this competition extremely interesting. Like, the most points that I've seen in a week is 10. So, by virtue of Spreads getting nothing and 10 being the most, you can go down to 47th place on our chart, and you probably might still be in with a chance of winning, which is utterly ridiculous. There's a few big movers in there, but I'll be honest, with the rate that people have been scoring, anyone that's in that sort of top 25 places, you're well within a shout.
Right.
Like, you're literally well within it. It doesn't matter how terrible we are because of it all. If you're within the 25, you're comfortably within a shout. People frequently get 7 or 8 points, that like frequently. And I think Spread's got 4 this week compared to his usual between 6 and 9.
Wow.
So we really did level the playing field up a bit.
Right.
If you give up, Daniel, the problem is it pulls you away from the main race, which will have a bigger prize at the end of the season. So never give up. That's all I'm saying.
So is this week then? Is this the final week? This is, isn't it? This is the final.
This is the final week of the FM competition. We'll email out a code for the game after next week's show, all being well.
Right. Good man. Good man. So if you haven't entered at any point and you're thinking, actually, I'd really want to get involved with this, you're still going towards the main event at the end of the season. Bearing in mind how little football we've had played already this season, there is still a big opportunity for you to win the overall prize of which we'll sort out as the season progresses.
Honestly, the monthly prizes, we're getting some bangers. Like December special.
Yeah.
I've sorted December's out and it is special.
Yeah. Connor, have you seen that?
Stop pointing out the mistakes I make because I copied and pasted it wrong. Oh, give it a break.
Follow the trawler. Yeah, he didn't even feature. It must have been epic this week. I'm just glad I'm in the top 20. I'm well chuffed with that. I'm well chuffed. Alex, whereabouts are you on there? Okay. I see we're going in alphabetical order. I see we're going in alphabetical order. I see. That's interesting.
It's just whatever my because you're not, because Craig Chidlow and it's whatever my Excel sheet does. Basically, if there's a tie at the top, I'll be doing a random name generator. Null and void. Get out, Dean.
So if we move on to the overall positions, then this is where everyone stands.
Yes, get in top 10.
And Adam very close behind in 15th place. Yes, I've broken into the top 20. Get in.
Yeah,
well chuffed with that. Well chuffed with that. So, Adam, talk us through it. Has there been many big movers this week, or is it more or less the same?
Not too many. Everyone's sort of just plodded in the right direction. But what I would say is that some people that were featuring lower down picked up far more points than the people featuring higher, so there has been a bit of a middle of the pack shuffling,
right.
So you'll see those keep moving. And like, you picked up a few more points this week, so obviously you went up to 20th, and there's been a few bits and pieces that have moved. Like Shane at the start of the season, Shane Cauldron's in 16th. He was right up there, to begin with. But people each week have started improving their average. Bailey Fairweather's doing quite well. Week as well. I did correct the mistake, so there's only one of him in this now. But 1 week seems to swing it. Alex has always been there or thereabouts. He's good at hitting the averages.
Yeah. Interesting. But spread's still top. Tommy Smith, who's always Mr. Consistent, is in second place. Alex, if you're still in the chat, my man, look at how well you're doing. Sean, again, still consistently up there. And then we've got a whole bunch of people.
Those are the people that are movers and shakers, really. Ben Durham, Jordan Mays, Bailey Fairweather.
Interesting. Yeah, 100% agree with that, Tony. 100% agree with that. That's why I don't win any money with betting. You see, this is why I'm so terrible at it, because I just can't.
Do you know what? I wish I could remember who it was. For the first week ever, someone got they got 5 points. They got no scores right, but they called the result on every single match.
Really?
Yeah, that was the first time I've ever seen it. So they should have put it on an app. They would have won a tidy amount of money.
There you go. I
was going to get a bonus point, but I can't be bothered.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Moving on to this week's, obviously, this will be. So we've got. So obviously we've got this weekend's fixtures are going to be coming up, which are going to be the last of the so-called big names, and then from next week we will be moving on back to our local football. So I know a lot of you in the chat will be very, very happy with that. So here are the fixtures that we're going with for this week, and I'm about to post the link for some of these games into the chat. So if you're on YouTube, if you are on Facebook, and you're on Twitter, the link will now be going into that chat. Obviously, we'll be posting this out at various different points throughout the week as well, so make sure you enter this week. So we've got Norwich versus Coventry, Ipswich versus Charlton, Cambridge versus Oldham, Peterborough versus Chorley in the FA Cup, Portsmouth versus Kings Lynn. It could have been Ipswich, but we won't go down that route. And Bolton versus Southend to round.
Southend can be bothered.
Well, Southend have started to pick. They started to pick up a few points.
Well, they didn't bother playing against Cambridge, did they? At the weekend?
Oh well, there was a big.
That's a massive game for Kings Lynn, now, isn't it?
Oh, tell me about it.
Huge game.
Their sponsor has bought them hotels, sponsored them hotels,
right
down Portsmouth, so they can go early to prepare.
You got to think where Portsmouth were like a decade ago.
They won the FA Cup, didn't they?
Yeah.
Not everyone goes on about it all the time. But yeah, yeah. Cheers, Ian. And Ipswich will win. I'm not too sure about that. I'm not too sure about that. But
I don't even know how Charlton are doing at the moment, to be honest.
It doesn't matter. Ipswich are doing terribly.
They did win. I don't
want to get into this too much because it's a non-league show, but Ipswich fans moaning about their season when they're third in the league. Grow up. Christ's sake, get a grip of yourselves. You're third in the table, for goodness sake. Sort yourselves out. Anyway, moving on. If you want to get involved in this week's Super Six, make sure you click the link spotted by Atlas K9 Security. Make sure you click on the link and get involved for your chance to win either monthly and towards the end of the season's big pot as well. So
there will be just another thing just to tag on the end of this. There'll be a couple of links we send around this week. We're going to have Goal of the Month.
Yeah.
Is going out this week to be voted on. And then we are also going to have a link so that you can submit your questions for Matt Blake and we will read them out. And he's coming on live. We're not pre-recording.
Yeah. That's going to be a banger.
Also, can I remind people as well? We've got one artist already that's agreed to do music for the video for the Goal of the Month. But if there is any other bands out there or any other artists that want to get their music known, please contact me through my DMs on Twitter.
Nice one. Which Lambert do you mean, Ben? That's what I want to know. Alex, done. Bring it on. Bill, done. Love it. People are already getting involved in that, which is absolutely brilliant.
12 entries already, so that's nice and quick. Love that, boys.
Brilliant. So yeah, as I said, if you want to get involved, you know what to do. Make sure you click the link as Dean has done. And hopefully, and we'll start seeing a bit of a shift, as I said, after this weekend, where we go back to our regular non-league content. Alex, really appreciate you coming on. Oh, sorry, go on, Alex.
I just wanted to say we've had a lot of interest, obviously, on our Instagram. We set up our Instagram a couple of weeks ago, and there's a lot of people that are liking it, following and stuff like that. So if people want to, it's just. We'll do pictures now and again, obviously before shows, after shows, and obviously let you know what's going on the shows as well. If people want to go on Instagram as well, instead of just our Twitter, there's that option as well.
Happy to share other people's football pictures up there as well when we get going. Be a really good way to share what we're doing each Saturday. I know it could be absolute content city, so we could go. That could go great guns sharing all your games as well.
Yeah.
Definitely. Alex, really appreciate you coming on, my man. I'll speak to you. I'll speak to you towards the end of the show. Nice one, mate. Adam, our final guest of tonight's show. We have not one, but two joining. You're excited about this one, I can tell.
I think it's good. I'm looking forward to this.
I'm delighted to be able to welcome to the show Tats and also Trev. Evening, gents. How are you both doing? You've been waiting a long time. Thank you very much for being patient there and waiting through the Super Six. How are you both? You all right?
Yeah, good. You guys?
Yeah, very good. Not too bad. Not too bad. Adam, very, very briefly, I'm just going to go quickly top up my water. Just jump in, man. Man.
No, fine. Yeah, we'll start off. Obviously, we've just had a bit of SIL news. Talk us through Walsham so far before we go on and talk about the podcast and what you're doing there. How's it going this season? Because from the outside, it's looking like you're having a bit of fun there this season. It's going well.
Yeah, do you want me to take this, Trev? Do you want me to take this one? Or...
If I can just point out, Tats, it's not your time to talk about your career all those years ago. Just let it go. Just drop it. All right? Just drop it.
I've got it all rehearsed and everything.
Yeah, so far so good actually, Adam. It was good with the news tonight that we're going to be back next week. Our first game is actually the FA Vars away to North Greenford, although we've got to wait and see what the situation is, because I think with their numbers in that particular area, they might be in tier 3, and I'm not sure what the travelling from one tier to the other.
Okay.
Who knows?
Yeah, we had that question in earlier in the chat, and I couldn't honestly say whether or not you are allowed to or not. I don't know. I don't know if it's just for work purposes or not, but yeah, hopefully we'll be able to find out from Thursday onwards.
Yeah, from a personal point of view, I'd be disappointed if we can't. But is it essential? That's the question that's got to be asked, isn't it? But we're desperate to get the game on. We're desperate to get going again. It's still quite interesting when you see the statement from Kirkley and Pakefield earlier on, and there's still a lot of people out there are really concerned about going back into playing. But let's just see. I think all we can do is we can accept that possibly we'll be going into another lockdown in January, unfortunately. And I think we've just got to crack on as much as we can and make the most of it. And just going back to your original question, Adam, what I've basically been telling the players since day one this season is we don't know what's around the corner. Go out there, enjoy it, express yourself. Don't worry. There's a lot worse things going on in the world, and non-league football is a little bit of a respite for us all, really.
I mean, for both of you, the players that you know that are in the game, both Trevor and your respective team, and then outside of that, what are you finding the mood is like amongst them sort of at the moment? Are they just trying to get out and enjoy it when they are playing, or is everyone a bit reserved?
No, they're trying to get out or when they can get out there, they're trying to enjoy it as much as they possibly can. Training, they look forward to training. It's been really, really difficult, this lockdown, and I think possibly because of the time of year when the first lockdown was on us. It was great weather, everybody was out training, every other day it seemed like.
Yeah,
this is tough. Also, I think it's tougher this time because a lot of people are working this time round, whereas before they weren't. Yeah. So people are going to work, coming home, still trying to find ways in which they can train. We've sent out a program to the players because we knew that we had a big FA Vars game coming up in particular.
Yeah.
There's only so much you can do.
Yeah.
You know, it's unfortunately it's out of our control, really.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think it's definitely the unfortunate bit of this is that everyone's having to keep themselves occupied, and it's very boring at times. You can't go and see people and do something. You quickly realise how bored you get of your own company, I think. Absolutely terrible at like occupying myself with stuff. So it's been tough. It has been difficult. So it'll be good to see everyone getting out there. For yourself, Tats, like what have you thought of the football you've seen this season? From my point of view, I think I've seen far more competitive football than I expected.
He hasn't.
I'm
seen a lot.
Yeah, it's probably not the best person to ask because Trev often gets annoyed with me that I don't come down anywhere near enough to go and watch Horsham play. It obviously depends on the weather. You know, I sort of stick my finger out and have a look on a Saturday and think. But I'll be honest. I mean, I've seen Walsham a few times. I saw Bury play Nuneaton in the FA Cup game as well. Going to Walsham and what Trev's doing, I mean, I'm going to resent saying this, but he's doing a fantastic job there. He's doing a really, really positive job. They've got a very young team. From what I've seen, he's got a squad of players. He's got 15, 16, 17, even more really, that can all do a really, really good job. But I mean, we were talking about this the other day, Trev. I don't think he's necessarily got, you know, sometimes with a team sheet, you might have 5, 6, 7 definite starters, and then you build your team around that. I don't think Trev's got that. I think he's got 2 or 3 names that he would put down on that team sheet, and then a lot of young lads that are all hungry, keen to impress. That, you know, you've got a bit of a job there, Trev, to keep them all happy and to rotate them in and get them all involved and keep them involved, because they look really impressive. And then going to the Bury game, I have to say I've not been to see Bury since well before sort of the first lockdown, and that was really impressive. FA Cup game, big crowd down there despite you know, obviously the COVID conditions, and Bury they're getting some momentum. They're moving in the right direction again. You know, the fan base is big, and it's obviously even under the current climate coming out supporting. I thought they looked really, really solid. Got some good young players. Got people like obviously Carlos Edwards and Ollie Hughes, and a nucleus of older players that can support those young players. Yeah, I've been impressed actually.
They've got an exciting thing going on at Bury. Like we've been trying to grab tickets, haven't we, for a few weeks, and never managed.
Yeah, you just can't do it.
Never managed to get there. So like,
no matter how many people's DMs I slide into, it's just not happening. It's just not happening at all. Unless you're there on time when they start selling the tickets, it's just not going to happen. Absolutely not going to happen. But Trevor, just going back to what Tats was just saying there about how young the squad is that you've got over there, and the amount of, you know, trying to keep everyone happy. How much, you know, obviously don't want to toot your own horn too much, but how impressive then does that then make the start of a season that you guys have had? Obviously you're a few games behind a lot of people at the top of the table, so you must be delighted with how things are going.
Yeah, we are. I'm fortunate in that as well as the players on the pitch, I've got a good team off the pitch. I've got Trevor Newman alongside me, who, you know, he's been at Walsham for a number of years. He's Walsham through and through. And he's someone that, you know, before I tend to make a change, or even when I'm sort of scratching my head about selecting players, I always say to him, what do you think? I always run it past him first, because sometimes they could always give a slightly different perspective. So I've got a lot of trust in him. Ian Miller, who, you know, played 250 league games, knows exactly what he's talking about. I also ask his opinion, although he's a player as well. But I think what we've done is this season is that you can try and implement whatever you like, but the people who count are the players. If they either buy into what you want to implement or they don't, and if they don't, a whole load of trouble. But they've bought into it. We said to them on day one, look, you know, you've only got to look around. We're fairly young and inexperienced compared to a lot of the other sides. It's so important that we are fitter than most other teams, if not all the other teams. We've got to be more organised, and we've got to make sure that we're fitter and organised so that we stay in the game for as long as we can. We'll score late goals, and we've scored a lot of late goals. And I think when I just kept repeating that message, then when it happened and we turned a 2-goal deficit round at home to Newmarket, we won 5-2. I think the penny dropped for the players and they thought, do you know what? Actually, yeah, we can do it. So even when we've been behind, they haven't panicked. They've sort of remained relatively mature about it. But I think sometimes I think it's important, especially nowadays, I think you've got to give them the tools to go out there, enjoy it, express themselves, not worry too much.
Yeah.
They won't have me shouting and hollering at them because they hardly can hear a manager or the coach on the sideline anyway. So just let them go out there. Just let them go out there, make mistakes. We'll talk about it afterwards. We'll improve them, and they're taking it. They're taking it on board.
Definitely. Now, obviously, go on, Adam. You look like you're.
Yeah, no, I think I was about to say exactly what you were about to say. As I say, one of the main reasons that we've got you on is to talk about the podcast that you masterminded in the first lockdown, which seemed to go down really well with a variety of guests and people sort of talking about it. You brought that to a halt at the end of the first lockdown, as everyone sort of, I think you sort of said, like, as soon as everyone starts to go back to their normal life and normal rhythm, like that sort of ended. And you've just recently announced that series 2 as such is upon us. I mean, you've done a fantastic job on editing a mega video to launch it. But
that's all it is. It's just a video. There's no content.
Looks proper decent. Talk us through it. Whose idea was it, and what are you looking to achieve with it?
I'll start, Trev, because I'll big you up for the first one. Trev came to me on the first lockdown and came up with the idea and sort of tried to sell it to me, and I thought it was absolutely ridiculous. It's one of those ideas where I thought, do you know what I mean? We played a bit of football. Trev's now managing football. A podcast, like, what experience have we got of doing a podcast, and how's that going to come across? And then he sort of slowly convinced me that actually this could be the way forward. This is what people need. And he sold it to me in the sense that, what people are missing is that light-hearted football banter, light-hearted football chat, on 4:45 when a game finishes on a Saturday, whether you're a player, supporter, manager, you go in the bar, you have that drink, you have those conversations. And that's essentially what we wanted it to sound like. That was the whole idea behind the first episode, or the first series, sorry. And again, I wasn't completely sold, but we thought we'd give it a go. And it started to fall into place a bit, to be honest. I thought the first episodes, I think we were getting stronger as we got more confident. You guys are seasoned pros at this now, so you'll probably know where we're coming from.
I still don't know what I'm doing every time.
Well, that's how
it goes on before we start.
That's how we felt every single episode. But it definitely got easier. And what surprised me was how much. Although it probably sounds like we're just making up as we're going along, there is a fair bit of research that goes into it, and planning and those pre-meetings. And during the first lockdown, we had the time to do that. But obviously, once we started to go back to work, it took its toll, I think.
A lot of people had a pop at a podcast, us ourselves included. Ours didn't really go the way we wanted it to. We thought we'd got a formula in terms of what would work, and it wasn't what we wanted. Like, I'm not afraid to admit, like, we'll try and they won't always work.
It was bizarre, wasn't it? We tried so many different avenues, and the one that kept consistently sticking was the local non-league football. We had a variety of guests on, all the way from people who had played in the Premier League to, Norwich and Ipswich, ex-pros. Even with those kind of things, it just didn't connect with the audience that we have. It was always right. If you bring we had John Warner from Sporting 87, and it got like 5 times the amount of numbers that someone like Darren Eadie did. And you're thinking,
how does that work?
Where's the correlation? So we did try quite a few different ideas, didn't we, Adam? It was.
I think the thing was, we couldn't. I think what we and that's why we're back here where we are now, is that we found that local football strikes a chord with people far more than trying to gain an audience from speaking to the seasoned pros. A lot of the time, it was people that had retired and stuff like that, and we thought that would generate the stories and things that people would want to hear. Do you know, like, between you, why you think that is, that the local football and that podcasting community is quite tight and sort of is so well received? Because definitely from everything on social media, I mean, you've had comments in here already tonight, people loved it, what you did. So
yeah, when we set out doing it, and Tats and I spent a lot of time talking about it, and there, as you guys will well know, there's a lot of careful planning that goes into it.
Yeah.
And as Tats said earlier on, maybe it doesn't sound that way and it sounds a bit raw, but sometimes it is raw, and I think that's what gave it the edge. What we wanted to achieve, and we carefully planned it so that it was actually sent out at around about the same time on a Saturday that most people would either finish their game of football and go into the bar and chat to their mates, because people were missing that. So we wanted people to, instead of sitting at home on a Saturday at 10 to 5, 5 to 5, we wanted them still to be able to sit and listen to some funny stories as if they were sitting in a pub, in the clubhouse after a game. So after sort of the first 2 or 3 that we did, and we weren't too sure how it would be welcomed, we then started to get comments from people. One in particular is Nick Garner at Suffolk FA, who phoned me the following day and just said, it was almost as if I was in a clubhouse having a beer. You walked in, Tax has walked in, he's walked in, and we're all sitting around the table just talking football stories. Yep. So we kind of achieved, I think, what we tried to capture.
Yeah.
Now, I think we come from an era, you may not believe this, but I'm slightly older than Tats, probably only a few months.
2 or 3 years, yeah.
I just had a tough paper round, that's all it is. So we both actually come from an era that when you played football, you went into the bar after the game and you would mix with the opposition. And actually what happens is you became friends with a lot of opponents that you played against.
Yeah.
And you sort of kind of stayed in touch with them. So when we were doing it, we ended up having, Gav Johnson on, who we knew anyway. We had Michael Shin. We had Lance Key, who's the manager at Histon, who, our paths have crossed in non-league in the past. Richard Skelly, Ian Miller, Ian Cambridge. And it was just, whenever we spoke to these guys, we always made sure that we spoke to them half an hour before we went on air. We told them that there was one condition, and that was they had to be sitting somewhere comfortable with a cold beer because the weather was great and we wanted them just to relax and just be themselves.
Yeah.
And we kind of just wanted to capture that mood.
Yeah.
And then of course we got a little bit braver, and we had Nick Pope on, and we were just never in 1,000 years, just never have been able to plan what happened with him. Was when he's sitting out in his garden, it's a glorious day, and his dog escapes, and he has to leave the recording, and we didn't pause it, we carried on, and he's chasing across the field after his dog. he's actually come back, and he is blowing. He's absolutely, and then 5 minutes later he said, I'm fanning myself down here, fanning myself, I've got sweat on. So it kind of played into our hands a little bit, but I think because of how we set it out, I think people expected to behave like that on there. We did cover some serious issues as well. Ben Coker talked about mental health, about worrying about the 2 serious injuries that the lad had, and he opened up, and we didn't expect that. We've known Cokes for a number of years, and we didn't expect him to go down that road. And Chris Henderson as well, when we were hoping that he would be playing for Kings Lynn this year, and change of circumstances, he's at Galston, but he opened up and said, I'm worried about what I'm going to do when my career comes to an end. And all of a sudden, whilst we had a script, we were prepared to go down a different alley and continue talking people down there. And I think it's just about making people relax, making them feel as if they can just open up and talk about the game that they love. And and here we are on here tonight, and I can see names popping up on the bottom of the screen, and it's great that he is. And non-league football is, I think it's a great thing for everybody.
I think Trev, also on that, what worked out probably in our favour whether by accident or not, I don't know. We decided to come up with like a theme or a couple of themes that we would base the episode around every week and have that as a different theme. And I think what we soon worked out, what that enabled us to do, especially as we had the likes of Nick Pope or dare I say more professional sort of footballers coming on, it didn't just become another podcast. Like you said, there were millions of podcasts out there, weren't there?
Yeah.
And most, if they involved professional footballers, would be the usual questions, that we probably see or hear. But this way, with those themes, we managed to move away from that, and we got someone like Nick Pope talking about forfeits or excuses used to the wife or the missus or those sorts of things, and it was actually it just brought about that lightheartedness, which was quite nice.
I've just seen the story in a bowl.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I still have sleepless nights about that.
Behind the curtain aspect a bit as well, don't they? I mean, I think like we tried to do when we did ours, it was all based on sort of players' careers, and I think we probably realised that we weren't getting that.
Yeah,
because we were just getting the story of what they were doing. But I think what you've done with what you've got is literally getting behind the curtain of different people, finding out what's made them tick in different areas without needing to hear every tiny minutiae of what they do, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
I think the key is, I think what we found is you just have, we felt that we just had to be a little bit brave and bold. And at the end of the day, footballers are, whether we like it or not, we're quite shallow people. And in a dressing room, we love nothing more than to walk into a dressing room and people take the pee out of us. Because that just, whatever worries and stresses you've had, that completely goes. And we like to deliver that to other players. And that's the moment that you can forget what's going on in the outside world. So what we did was with every single person, we actually told them before we came on, look, there's two people that are going to be talking to you Saturday, and who want to have the pee ripped out of them more than anybody else. And that was me and Tats. We wanted people to come on and give us a bit of a bit of a tear up, really. But we also told them that to introduce them, we had to find a funny story about them that they're comfortable about talking about, but they're also a bit embarrassed as well. And going back to Nick Pope again, Nick Pope's opening gambit was, okay, he's an England goalkeeper and he's Burnley's #1, but he couldn't shift Marcus Garland whilst he was at Bury. And that got invited. That got invited. And then,
or he couldn't beat his father-in-law at tennis.
Yeah, so he couldn't beat Kev Horlock at a game at tennis. So what do? We got Kev Horlock on the following week to actually batter Popey about the game of tennis because we just thought it just falls in place. So you just got. I think we found that we just had to be a little bit brave, and we had to try and say things to these people that we kind of hope that people listening in just really wanted to hear, rather than, what was your favourite game or what. We did a bit of that as well.
Yeah.
But as you say, Adam, the sort of behind the curtain thing, I think people really do want to hear that.
Without giving loads of stuff away that you may have planned, what sort of plan for season 2, if you've bothered to plan, or are you going completely off the cuff and hoping it works?
You've nicked my question, man. You've nicked my question.
Well, actually, it's we've done it slightly differently. You mentioned earlier on about the video that you'd seen on Twitter, which a young lad, Alfie Cobbold, working for the club at Walsham, he's doing a college course. So he approached the club and said, look, I'm doing a college course about media and what have you, and doing video footage. Can I do this as partnering alongside what I can do with a football club, my college work? Tats and I spoke to him about a week ago. We only just then found out he's got no experience of it whatsoever. He's gone into that. With, as I say, he was doing a plumbing course, I think. He jacked that in. He then wanted to do this other course. He's gone straight into it. He's obviously got a flair and he's a bit of a natural to it.
That
so
video,
he released. It's fantastic.
Yeah,
absolutely fantastic. So we thought that was a bit above our pay grade, but
we're a bit worried about that now.
we were.
Stitches up a little bit, I think.
But we've done it a little bit differently. What we did on Saturday, we've actually done 2 recordings. We've recorded. We did an interview with Matt Morton about his announcement about when he came out as gay a while ago, and we know Mort's very well. And when we release it, hopefully you'll you'll enjoy the laughter as well, because he takes a mick out of himself. We also had somebody you know very well, Ollie Hughes, was on, who likes to talk about himself, as we know. He was on. And then this Saturday is quite exciting because we've got a number of people connected with the football club, players, committee members, managers, coaches, physio, and we are doing live interviews on the podcast, but they're only going live for people connected to the club. And then Alfie's going to send out an edited version. I don't think he'll achieve it Saturday night as good as he is, but he's going to send out an edited version so that everybody can see. And that's part of his college work. But we said we wanted to do it. And I've been saying to Tats for a few weeks, we've got to do a Christmas special either way. So we'll use this as an opportunity to sort of kind of build it up a bit, really.
Yeah. Who's in fancy dress then out of the two of you?
Yeah, good question.
Tats is tonight, but
sharp.
If you do a Christmas special, someone's got to do the fancy dress. Like...
No, I have no doubt that will be me. Absolutely no doubt. Just quickly going back to Alfie, just to back that up, Trev, in terms of what he's doing, because it is a college course. And the guy, I think he's spoken to you, Adam, hasn't he? I think he's been on. Has he spoken? Oh, you, James. Sorry,
Spoke to him the other night. Really nice lad. Really nice lad.
What he's doing as a sort of a 16, 17-year-old for his college course. I mean, we're loving it, aren't we, Trev? Because we feel like we've got some sort of like editor. We've gone something big time in this podcast industry. We've got an editor in the background doing all these things. We haven't had. We were normally sort of recording in a garage with the worst technology ever. Honestly, it was absolutely shocking. We'd have
Nick Pope and James now we're in garages.
Very true.
Nick Pope on the phone with it connected on Bluetooth to a Bluetooth speaker so we could hear it clearly. I mean, it was shocking. So to have this and to have that big sort of video that's gone out on Twitter and stuff, it's a bit embarrassing really for us, but it's fantastic what he's doing. So yeah, we're just jumping on that.
Irvin has asked in the chat that it sounds like it's something he's going to enjoy listening to. What name is the new podcast going to go out under, and where's it going to be available?
So the new name?
Yeah, you're keeping it with the same.
No, the new name. Yeah. Don't get him on the name. Don't get him on the name. He's all over that. So it'll be under the Trev and Tats podcast. We'll put it out there. So it's pasted now. He can't get his name on there first. I'm not having that.
Are the other ones available that you did before still, or did you, or have they been removed from the listings?
No, that's a very good question. I can tell you now that we don't want to remove them, although we're spending £15 a month to keep our Podbean membership. Just to keep them on there. That's for life now, because we don't want to lose the material. So
yeah. They've got you, haven't they?
Yeah. We don't know what to do. I literally don't know what to do, because what I recorded them on was I think it was an Audacity app.
Have you not got the recordings anymore?
No, I deleted those. I hadn't even thought of that. So
what I've got to deal with it.
Yeah.
This is what I mean by
experts. Absolute experts.
You just have to charge it to Trev's account at Walsham or something. Players' water expenditure or something, and job done. I think
we'll get it free. Don't worry.
So for everyone who is now intrigued in this and who hasn't listened to it before, etc., when are episodes likely to be out? How often do you kind of record these things? When are they going to be posted out? Where are they going to be posted out to moving forward?
That makes it sound like we're going to do lots. No, I think the idea we've got two. We've got the Matty Morton one and the Ollie Hughes one, and they're recorded. They've been edited, and we're ready to send them out. But we don't want to put them out until after next Saturday. So next Saturday we're going to record this other podcast, and we're hoping that we can actually sort of bring them all in, so it creates one podcast. But having recorded with Morts and with Ollie, thinking that they were going to be about 15-20 minutes, as you guys well know from doing this, they were like 45-50 minutes later, and we're still going. So
he did well for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
We do Darren Eady was 4 hours. And
that was stupid. That was a stupid.
No way.
Yeah. 4 hours.
Honestly. 4 hours. The man got some stories.
Yeah, who was the other one we had? I had to split up into 2 podcasts. Who was that one?
I can't. There's that guy. He literally told you every single thing that ever happened.
Paul Hayes. That's it. Paul Hayes. Do you remember him? He used to play for Norwich, Scunthorpe, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He honestly, he revealed story after story, managers he disliked, why he disliked them, the arguments he had. We had to split it up into 2 podcasts. It just went absolutely.
How much he had all of his money? He revealed all his money and transfers and all sorts.
Yeah.
Literally did.
Wow.
That was a brilliant one, but that's so no, that's fair enough. And I suppose my final question is, when can me and Adam come on?
That's a very good point. That is a very good point. And if you guys are happy to take the piss out yourselves, we welcome you on.
That's what I like.
It depends. Are we going to be coming on at the same time? Sorry,
you two could actually be the ones who come on fancy dress.
No.
I'll be well up for that. No. I'll be well up for that. Adam, you can order me something from Amazon, mate. Just stick it on. I'll be well up for that.
I can get you stuff. I can't just get you a sausage suit or whatever every now and then. It doesn't work like that.
No, it's honestly, guys, keep up the good work that you're doing. Really, really appreciate you coming on and talking about it tonight. And I look forward to listening to those 2 when they are released. But hopefully the show continues and you can get some more people on throughout the season. And let's just hope we don't have another break, and we can get the season finished.
Yeah, let's hope so.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Thanks for having us on.
Cheers. Take care.
Take it easy, guys.
Cheers.
And Adam, I think we're going to round up tonight's show there. It's been absolutely a brilliant show. It's
been a roller coaster tonight, I think. It's nice to finish with laughter.
Yeah, football resuming. We've had Stowmarket announcement. We've had talk. We've had loads of different conversations tonight. Recent appointments, podcasts, etc., etc. It's been a great show. So really, really appreciate everybody's got involved as normal. Remember, if you are watching this from a Twitter perspective, give the video a retweet. If you're watching on Facebook, share the video onto your timeline. YouTube, remember to subscribe. We're on the road to 1,500. We are not far away from 1,500, which is just absolutely incredible for a channel that talks about Suffolk football. So really, really appreciate your support. Make sure you subscribe and hit the like button as well. Thank you very much if you've taken the time to get involved in the comment section. To our sponsors, as always, the Patreon members, Ko-fi members, you are absolutely fantastic. And until next time, as always, guys, adios.